In today's Leeds news, under 18s result, Tanaka to Leeds, Wijndal interest, Hamer details and Belloumi clarification. Morning folks, Jer here, Wednesday morning the 28th of August with your Leeds United news. It's a bit quiet. Possibly should have expected this a little bit once this Solomon deal was done yesterday. There's likely to be a little bit of a pause while the next one gets lined up, and there's a lot of information floating around on who that person could be. There's some clarification needed on yesterday's ones as well. We'll get into all of that. We will start off today with the under 18s result from yesterday, and a very good start to their Premier League Cup campaign for this very much new look Leeds United under 18 side as they travel to Tottenham Hotspur to take them on in the first round of the Cup. Good game for Leeds, a good day at the office. Leeds ran out 3-1 winners in that game. Goals coming from Leighton Brown, Ollie Pickles and Carrick Jinko were enough to give Leeds United the win in this. Keep an eye on Ollie Pickles this season. There's a lot of Premier League clubs looked at him over the course of the last year. He's very highly rated and he could be one just to keep a little bit of an eye on. Now, Aston Villa had a sniff at him last year and Man City were rumoured to be having a look at him as well, but Ollie Pickles definitely one to keep an eye on. But Leighton Brown likes to score goals as well, so this new look under 18s have gotten off to a cracking start in their cup, and hopefully a next group of players coming through. As last year's under 18s, the bulk of them went to 21s. It'd be great to see this under 18 side replicate what they did last year with a U Cup final representation, which would be fantastic to see. Getting into the transfer stuff, and then just a reminder to everyone again who's new to the channel, when the window closes on Friday, we will still be doing daily Leeds news consistently after that. It's what the channel does. So if you want to keep up to date on what's going on with Leeds, you can find that information here on a daily basis. On the transfer stuff, we'll start off with AO Tanaka because that's the one that's been occupying the bulk of the column inches floating around at the moment and what's been going on there. There's been some clarification as well. But back on the 20th of June this year, we brought you a story on the channel that basically stated that AO Tanaka had changed his agencies in order to get his move to Leeds United. 2 months later, it may now look like that move to Leeds could potentially happen. Fortuna Dusseldorf are in a position where sales will be needed after they failed to get promoted to the Bundesliga last season. Leeds had tried to negotiate a deal with Dusseldorf last year to get Tanaka and had gone as far as agreeing a fee with the player leaving training to head to Leeds for his medical. Dusseldorf then messed around with the transfer a little bit and tried to increase the fee. Leeds withdrew from the negotiations and went off and signed Glenn Kamara instead. Graham Smith in the Yorkshire Evening Post has confirmed that Daniel Farke does like Tanaka and has a long-standing interest in the player. The YP labelled Tanaka as a potential transfer for Leeds because there isn't any real solid information flowing around about this, and there's conflicting reports. Yes, the Mail broke the story and they've got a very, very strong track record when it comes to Leeds stuff, especially since the 49ers came in, but there's some irregularities being talked about in Germany in their press release. And from a positional perspective, Tanaka is very much a number 8. There's been a bit of conversation around, is he a 6, is he a 4, is he an 8, is he a 10, where does he play? He's an 8. He's an 8 and he's a goal scorer and he's a tempo driving midfielder. He will change. At the end of this video, I'm going to link a video that Lockie Leeds did. I'll put it as the follow-up video and check it out. It's about AO Tanaka. He did it a couple of months ago and it'll give you some detail on what Tanaka's like as a player outside of the clips that you've seen going around online. It's very much worth checking it out if you want more detail on the player. Last season, though, he did do very, very well. He scored 7 goals and 4 assists coming from midfield for Dusseldorf. To date, he's scored 10 goals in 95 Bundesliga appearances as well. The Daily Mail broke this story last night and they basically said that Leeds are looking to activate a £2.65 million release clause in Tanaka's deal in order to get the move going, and it could happen very, very quickly as a result of that. Bild in Germany today are saying that there is no release clause in AO Tanaka's contract. However, Leeds could still get this deal done relatively cheaply. You're looking at a deal of anything between £3 million and £3.5 million is the rumoured asking price from Dusseldorf, which is very, very affordable in line with what Leeds have brought in this summer. Tanaka would represent good business from a club's perspective, but it would give Leeds what they need in a midfield profile player who can change the tempo, who can go box to box, who can arrive late in the box and score some goals. And it also gives Daniel Farke what he wanted last year as his first choice, number 8. Everyone will be very happy then if this could get concluded. The Mail claimed that the deal could be done very, very quickly. and the player could have been travelling to Leeds as early as last night in order to get the deal done. More detail will come out around this. It doesn't look like it's as cut and dry as yesterday. Yesterday looked very much like Tanaka, 2.5 million, 2.6 million, done, dusted. Move on to the next target. It might be a little bit trickier, but it still looks like it's very, very doable for a very, very affordable price. And as Joe Wayman says on his channel all the time, and I very much agree with this statement, the price isn't the barometer for a good footballer. We wasted a lot of money on apparently good footballers who turned out to be absolute garbage for Leeds. So if we can get a really good player who has a good profile, a good portfolio behind him, and get him for a good price, that means that money can go elsewhere. And if Leeds did want to go after a Gus Hamer, they might have more money in the bank to maybe buy him as a number 10 and not as a number 8. But and for me, that's where I would see Gus Hamer playing if Leeds did go after him, and that would be in the number 10 position and not in the number 8. But again, that one's unlikely, but we got some information. We'll get to that in a second. Moving on to the first kind of new transfer name that was linked this morning. This one relates to a transfer around Owen Wijndal. According to Transfer Watch NL, they say that Leeds, Rayo Vallecano and that club from Turkey are all said to be very interested in a move for the Ajax left back who spent last season out on loan. The 24-year-old has apparently expressed an interest in moving to the UK to take the next part of his career in that direction, and would be keen to move away from the club. Leeds are said to have looked at the possibility of a loan for the player, which could very, very much be on the cards given that he was out on loan last season with Antwerp in Belgium. Wijndal joined Ajax from AZ Alkmaar in 2022 and he went on to play 51 times for Ajax over 2 seasons, then went out on loan to Royal Antwerp in Belgium last year. He scored 1 goal during his time at Ajax, but he could be now looking at a move away from the club, and a loan for the left back position with possibly an option to buy or an obligation might suit Leeds, with Junior Firpo's contract running down at the end of the season. Leeds needing somebody who's happy to come in and play maybe second fiddle or cover for a little bit, adjust to the system, adjust to the club, adjust to the level, and then be the first choice left back next season, and hopefully what is a Premier League side for Leeds United. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. Let's move on and talk about the Gus Hamer situation, because Chris Wilder was talking last night about it, and just keep talking about it, Chris. Just keep talking, because it's funny. For me, it's entertaining watching Chris Wilder get really agitated and annoyed over transfers, which every manager has to deal with. And he's getting very upset about things that Leeds are doing. Chris Wilder spoke last night after their Carabao Cup exit about transfer rumours of Gus Hamer. Wilder went out of his way to point out how professional Gus Hamer has been in the last couple of days with speculation around him, and said that that's how real professionals carry themselves when there's interest in him, which really did feel like a swipe at Jayden Bogle, an unnecessary swipe at a player like that, but it did feel like a swipe. But he wasn't done having swipes at people without actually talking about people. There were reports came out last night of Hamer potentially waving goodbye to the Sheffield United fans after the match, but Wilder insisted that they know their price for the player, and they know that the clubs that are interested in the player have brought in big money this summer, and big prices will need to be paid to take the players away from the club. That wasn't the case with Jayden Bogle, and we got him pretty much at a decent price, a lot less than what they wanted to sell him for. But it'd be interesting. Wilder said top dollar will need to be paid from all of those clubs, swipe at Leeds, who are conducting themselves. Adam Pope did say that Leeds would likely not go back in for a move for Hamer, but you just don't know in the window. And as I said earlier on, if Leeds can keep their money in one area, then maybe they can add it in another area. But let's have a quick look at what Chris Wilder was saying last night. You'll see it on screen now, and he said the following: I thought Gus Hamer was outstanding. We had a chat with Gus. Obviously, there's been speculation around him. I don't know if they'll make another bid. I really don't know what they're thinking. Everyone knows what the bid is. They've brought in 120 million, and they're trying to nick our player for what that bid is. I don't know what it was supposed to do, but it hasn't done anything, and it hasn't, from Gus's point of view, either. I'm not so sure about that, Chris. It appears to have wound you up a little bit. So he'll keep talking about Leeds. He's done it for a lot of years, and he'll keep talking about him. But if I was Leeds, I'd offer 12 million today, and then tomorrow I'd offer 11, and then next week when the window's closed, I'd offer 5, and then the day after I'd offer 3, and I'd just keep lowballing them just to annoy him, because I want to see more Chris Wilder reactions, because they're very funny. I shouldn't be laughing at it, but I do find it funny that a manager gets wound up about transfer tactics when every club and every manager is doing the exact same thing. It's ironic in one sense. And then finally, just a bit of clarification today on a story brought to you yesterday about Mohamed El Bashir Belloumi, who is a young player playing in the Portuguese La Liga. Yesterday we covered the story that from a record who said that the Portuguese player who plays for Forense in Portugal could be on Leeds' list of a potential transfer this summer or longer. Now further reports from A Bola, which is an unfortunate name for a publication, not E, but A Bola. They state that Leeds could get the player from Forense for as little as £5 million, and Forense would be interested in that deal should Leeds be able to do it. As I said yesterday, and it is now said in this report, as it was said in Record's report yesterday, Leeds see this as a future transfer. The player a couple of windows down the road and they're watching, but you could have a similar situation that brought Willie Gnonto to Leeds, where the primary targets just weren't gotten. We saw the Bamba Dieng and the Charles de Ketelaere, and then all of a sudden it was Willie Gnonto further down the list, a player Leeds had talked about bringing in at least one transfer window later. So there's a possibility that's why his name is being mentioned. If Leeds don't get their targets, maybe he's a player that comes in. If they do get their targets, maybe he's not. But as of right now, he's just another name. But there's not a huge amount. As I said, all week and all month, I will likely be on later on with a live stream should anything happen. Look for a transfer update video. If nothing else happens today, we'll be back first thing in the morning with the news. We'll have the podcast tomorrow evening, which will go out as a pre-recorded live stream. That will have some detail on whatever transfer is there. And then Friday night, the last hour of the transfer window, we will be live with Alex from the American in Leeds podcast, Michael Maynard at Leeds Faithful on X.com to go cover the final hour of the transfer window, which may be busy for Leeds. And if it's not, we'll cover the entire business we've done in this window so far. And there is some content planned for over the international break. We will still be doing daily news. And I am going to attempt to do it every single player Leeds have been linked with and where they ended up, and rate the publication that said they were coming to Leeds for credibility purposes. There's a bit of work on that, but we'll get there. And we are planning some other stuff as well around next week. There will be more content. Just stick with us if you don't mind too much. This is the job now. So if you've been around, if you like the channel, you want to stick here, hit subscribe, stick around. There will be more news and we'll run it for the entire remainder of the season as well. We've got some ideas for new content as well once we get the transfer window out of the way. So you can check it all out here. Folks, have a great remainder of your day, and I will see you tomorrow morning, definitely, maybe tonight, for more Leeds news. Enjoy the rest of your day. See ya. Bye.